Oh, welcome back to Sunday Science, everybody, on our typical Monday afternoon. I'm talking a little slow today. I've been battling a cold all day, so pardon my
It's Ebola.
slow, muggy voice, but still here and still sciencing, so...
What could be better?
Exactly, what could be better?
Nothing. Nothing at all.
Indeed.
Except for puppies.
Except
for
for
what?
Except for puppies.
Oh,
Puppies. Yeah.
Yeah, puppies are pretty awesome.
I would agree. Alrighty. So let's see what to cover first. And Andy, you want me to get the talking to ISS update out of the way first?
Sure, let's go ahead and take a look at that. I'm really interested in this.
All right, this will be fairly quick. If you recall, a few weeks ago we announced that this was an up-and-coming thing. I got the dual band circularly polarized antenna, which with most of its radiation going straight up instead of most earthbound vertical antennas or things of that sort, the signals go out to the side because that's the most useful. It's not what we needed to get an ISS contact, so that was up for quite a while already. Got some really high-grade coax and ran it down here, and installed the radio. It's a Yaesu 847 SAT, which is obviously abbreviation for satellite radio. It's designed for ham satellite work, and as such, it's ideally suited for communication with the ISS. Now, the thing is, the ISS is moving kind of quick, and as a result, there's a significant Doppler shift as it approaches and as it goes away. The software used to control the radio, it is possible to do it by hand and track it by hand. You just have to listen to the incoming signal and keep the tone with what you think a human should sound like. And if your transmit is tracking at the same rate, it'll keep both of them up with the Doppler shift. But it's annoying for both the sender and the receiver, and we don't want to annoy astronauts. They have things to do. So, as a result, we have what's called rig control software. It controls the radio. This is what the main screen for the satellite portion of the rig control software looks like. For whatever satellite you're trying to contact, I have the frequencies in for just about every ham satellite, and obviously for the ISS.
Can you explain this site to everyone, just real quick?
Sure. This specific rig control application is called Ham Radio Deluxe. It has a bunch of parts. It's compartmentalized so that you only use what you need to use. Some people just use amateur radio to talk. Other people do satellite work. Other people do moon bounce. There's a bunch of things you can do in the hobby. Digital modes. For those who don't know what it is, think of the internet over radio waves. No wires, no fiber, no anything. Basically, it's a planetary net between amateur operators. Great for when there's any kind of emergency communications needed or that kind of thing. The chunk we're using, which is what you're seeing on the screen now, is specifically for satellites. In addition to having the frequencies in for the satellites, there's an uplink and a downlink. It also does the calculations to, remember I mentioned the Doppler shift. The software does the calculations. It knows the speed of the satellite as it approaches you, when it is over you, and when it's going away. Calculates the Doppler shift and automatically tunes your transmitter / receiver while you're actually using it, while you're talking. Now, in the main window is what the satellite that you're interested in, the satellite of interest, is up to. In this particular case, we're tracking the ISS. The frequencies we have set are the uplink in this is the 437.8 megahertz. That is the rightmost number. Immediately to the left of that, you'll see the frequency that the radio will actually be transmitting on. If we were to transmit right now, the radio would transmit at 437.803, not 437.800, to compensate for the Doppler shift of the approaching satellite, or in this case, the ISS. Same deal with the listening. The downlink frequency for this particular transponder is 145.8 megahertz. And you can see that we're at 145.798. That's what I was saying, that this compensates for the Doppler shift when it's coming towards you, when it's directly over you, drops to 0, and then adjusts in the other direction after it passes over. Now, this frequency, there's a couple of frequency pairs. This frequency pair for the ISS is just a repeater. A repeater, it's just what it sounds like, is it takes an input on one frequency, we call on that frequency, and it retransmits it on the second frequency. This is generally done to if you have just handheld radios and you wish to communicate over a large area, use a repeater, you can do that. Well, bouncing through the ISS, your large area is like a third of the country. And that's an unattended. You're likely to make a contact with another ham operator. You have to be licensed to use these frequencies. You have to get a ham license. Using the repeater, you're likely to get a response back from another ham operator in the somewhat small area of, about a third of the country or whatnot. This is what I'm going to be using later tonight. If we look, this also tells you when the next pass of the satellite you're interested in is going to be. As you can see where the ISS is now, over here, we got about 4 orbits left, or 3 more orbits, something of that sort, and I'll be in its radio footprint. It's my house over here. Obviously it's a big ass house, don't you think? Anyway, you see this circle around the ISS. That is its radio footprint as it passes over. Anything inside of that circle has what's called line of sight radio propagation. It doesn't mean that it really is a straight line, because even light curves a little bit through the atmosphere. But if you're within that, you can get line of sight communications. You can use the UHF and VHF frequencies we're talking about here. Now, down at the bottom here, there's a tab that tells you not only when the next pass is going to be, when your whatever you have set as your resident, where you are transmitting from or receiving from is when you will be in its radio footprint. At a little after 10 tonight, I'm going to be in its radio footprint, but it's going to be very near the horizon. If you can see here, this line, the red line is very low. This is degrees above the horizon. So yes, we'll technically be in its radio footprint, but only at the fringe, and wouldn't have much luck. So if we wait until almost midnight, quarter to midnight, to have a nice 40-degree shot. This is when I'm going to be testing tonight using the repeater on the ISS. I'm going to try and hit the uplink and see if the repeater keys up, and if it does, it's the advantage of a satellite radio. You transmit and receive at the same time. If I'm successful, I'll hear myself. If that's the case, I will turn off sat mode so it still does the split, but I won't be listening while I'm talking, and I'll try to make an actual contact. This is a test just to make sure that the system I have set up will work when we go to actually try and do a transmission and actually try to attract the attention of an astronaut. That's what we're all going for. We want to make a contact with a human on board the ISS. So tonight's test will be just, if I can key the repeater, that means we will be able to make a contact, because it means all the gear's set up right, the antennas are tuned properly, we're putting out enough power, and like I said, that test will be occurring tonight. Yes,
I have
sir.
a real quick question.
Sure.
So, Are you gonna record the attempt just in case you do get someone?
I wasn't. I was really just going to do it as a diagnostic thing. I can if you think it'd be very interesting. I mean, it. Yeah. All right.
I mean,
Sure.
yeah.
Just,
So if you get someone, it'd be really cool. If not, then you just delete it.
you're right. No reason not to. I hadn't planned on it, but I'm glad you brought that up. Anyway, with the advent of this kind of software, it makes this whole thing much easier. Decades ago, there was still, computer control of radios, but it was not to this level. It makes it much easier, much more convenient. So that's. I don't think there's much else to say about this. Yep, I'll be trying that out tonight, so you'll all be updated. There we go.
Yay.
Very awesome.
Yeah, yes. Alrighty. And
So I
to you,
do have
Andy.
to wonder. I've been finally starting to actually work my way into some ham radio works, and I'm in need of a decent transceiver. And since there seem to be some very knowledgeable people both in the comments and on here getting started, what would you recommend?
Oh, great! You're gonna get Bo and I into an argument over Yaesu versus ICOM.
Yeah, well, I was just looking at that ICOM IC910H, and it looks pretty nice, but then, of course, the thing that I saw next was the 9100, and I looked at the price tag and just closed that window immediately.
It depends on what you're going to do. For primarily voice, primarily terrestrial, it's not that critical. Honestly, none of them are really junk. Even the older rigs, the newer ones, the enhancements are obviously either digital signal processing. Some of them are all software defined radio even now, but for just that sort of thing, not that critical. They're all okay. Let's see what's Bo say. Okay, there's only one Yaesu that Bo can tolerate, the FT60. Anyway, now if you want to do satellite work, you have really two choices. One is an older radio, which is the 847 SAT, that's the one that's sitting here on my desk. It was specifically designed with satellite work in mind. Another great one is the Kenwood. The TS2000 is the favorite of satellite folks just because of how well it integrates with various computer, rig control software and stuff like that. But all right, we'll get Bo in a hangout sometime, and he and I'll battle it out over the best starter rig.
There you go.
And whoever sounds more convincing, that's who you agree with.
Oh, very cool. I'm definitely going to be looking into this in the near future once a few other projects are completed.
Oh, look at that. Actually, I hate smartphones. He's right. Baofeng is that there are some very, very inexpensive handheld radios, which honestly you can make an ISS contact from a handheld radio. I mean, when I'm talking inexpensive, I mean under $100, which is in some cases a lot under $100. These are Chinese companies, and honestly, they make some very good products. I've had a few of those and used those for a couple of things. So, Bo likes the TS2000. Okay, very good.
Now, one of the other ones I'm curious about when you're talking about doing ham radio stuff, you can listen without a license. You can't transmit, right?
Right. It's the all of the ham frequencies, and there's a lot of them. Honestly,
Yeah.
if they were auctioned off, like how they auction off parts of the spectrum to various broadcast companies or businesses or that kind of thing, the amount of space allocated in the RF spectrum to amateur radio is just huge. And if you converted that to dollars, I'm sure would be up in the billions if it were auctioned off like like other space. But yes, you have to be licensed. You have to have an amateur radio license issued by the FCC to transmit. Anybody can listen, but to actually use the bands, you have to be licensed. Quite true.
Well, that pretty much answers my questions there.
Alrighty.
Very cool.
That's my update. Yeah, we promised everybody a talk with an astronaut, and by God, we're going to give it to him.
Excellent.
This is really cool. I'm pretty excited for it. And definitely agree with Steven. You should be recording it, whether you reach anyone or not.
All right, very good. I will...
Sorry, I didn't mean to assign you homework.
That's okay. That's good homework. You're saying I have to do some radio stuff tonight, and I have to produce a video, and I have to make an extremely long-range UHF contact. Oh my, that's rough. Not a problem.
Don't make me tack on Zap.
Oh, that's it. It's the perfect day.
I do have new capacitors coming in for mine, so hopefully that'll be fired back up and couple of modifications to the primary.
Very nice. That's just in time for you to. You probably almost have feeling back in your left arm from the last incarnation of the Tesla coil. So good that caps are coming in for the rebuild.
Right.
Anyway.
Oh man.
All right. That was. I'm sorry. That was meant to be a quick update. I did not intend to to drag it out that long. I didn't intend to drag it on for 20 minutes. I'm sorry.
No. It's completely worth it.
All righty. So, next up, back to let's build radio telescopes, Andy.
Yeah. It's radio telescope building time.
Yay! I even put in the description where I'm sure many people who were interested already looked at the PDF file, as we did, that shows you a really good way to make something that'll do what it says it'll do. And then, of course, the oddballs such as Andy and myself and other people immediately thought, how else could we do this? so, I don't know. Andy, you want to talk about your adventures so far?
Yeah, I had the luxury of taking a nice evening drive Saturday deep into the woods of the Front Range here outside of Denver, so that I could pick up a 76 millimeter dish. So that's roughly a 30-inch dish that I'm going to be using for this project. I have a bunch of neighbors that don't use their DirecTV dishes anymore, but they have to be dismantled. There we go. That's the thing.
There's Andy's. That's what he's lucky enough to find. And look, it's already got only one LMB on it.
Yep. You don't have to sit down and try and split any LMBs apart and deal with any of that. It was nice to find a little bit of an older dish. That's just an oil stain on the dish. But other than that, it's actually all in pretty decent shape. So I'm going to start getting a mount built for that so I can set it up in the backyard and start getting cracking on this thing.
You going to spray paint?
How high are you going to put it up?
I'm not sure if I'm going to roof mount it yet. It would look the most normal roof mounted and probably would draw the least amount of attention from peering eyes and weird neighbors.
Until you have to climb up there and change the direction it's pointed in. That would kind of give it away that you're not just watching TV. You're mapping stars.
Well, that's what I have random servo motors lying around for. They'll just be confused as to why it is that my dish is constantly moving back and forth.
Tell them it's not business.
I can't wait to see this. Mr. CAD Cam rides again. Oh, wait, we don't call it CAD Cam anymore, do we, Andy?
No, just modeling.
Okay, yeah. Okay, used to be called computer aided design / computer aided manufacturing. I guess that was too long. It's been shortened. But
yeah, CAD CAM, CAE, it's all kind of blended into.
I make stuff.
Yeah. I design stuff, I engineer stuff, I build stuff, yeah.
And at the
it's the I make software. If only Apple would have gotten to it before a bunch of engineers got to it.
Indeed.
It'd just be I make programs.
That would be cool. All right. The one I got,
cool.
The Well, I didn't actually. This is one that has been inactive for, I don't know, 10 years sitting on my roof. I didn't actually take it down yet. It's the sort of... Here, let me get it to the... There we go.
So you're roboting heavy.
How the hell could I be roboting? I just got updated to a... I got the gigabit connection now. Am I still... Is it still happening now?
No, it's fine now.
Okay, that was a little weird. I have to call Verizon and raise hell again. Actually, I might do that anyway. just to keep him in shape. Look, you bastards. Nothing's going wrong now, but I know it will. So fix it. Anyway, yeah, the one on my roof, it was originally the one for satellite internet, because out here at the shore we were the last people to get anything, DSL, anything of that sort. So for quite a while I was using satellite internet, which was honestly pretty damn fast. And then when we got the higher speed DSL and then the fiber into the area, obviously that was more reliable. You didn't have to worry about solar storms screwing up the works. So it's been inactive for quite a while, and that should have fairly good directivity. Now,
directivity. That's the word there.
We'll see how that turns out. Of course. All right, and which actually, let's see. Let me scroll back into questions here. Oh yeah, Wendigo asked. He had a question that he wanted to know about the effectiveness of an amateur radio telescope. He meant resolution of the image. I can answer that. I mean, I could have answered it because he asked before the show. I could have answered it in the chat, but it would have been long. So I'll say it here short. It actually just depends on the ability of your dish to focus. You can, if you can confine the beam that you're looking at to as close to a straight line as possible, because RF like sound waves tends to expand with distance, and if you don't have good confinement, if you don't have a dish that has a good focusing ability, just like a telescope, the resolution won't be all that good. You'll still get results. You'll still be able to do solar observations. You'll still be able to get to notice differences in the output of the RF output of major radiating bodies in the heavens. But if you're thinking of doing the stuff that we talked about, actually scanning the skies and trying to come up with an image that you can overlay on a star chart just to see how cool that looks, what things you notice in the sky radiating that match up with things on your image, you need to have pretty good confinement, beam confinement, which these antennas should do fairly well. Not as good as one of the antique 8-foot satellite dishes, but I'm not dragging one of those home with the Jeep. I'm sticking with this.
Yeah, no, even that 30-inch dish was more than large enough.
Yeah, we'll get. Actually, that's the other thing about these antennas. A lot of the people that, and this is not that show, so we're not going to go into it, but a lot of people say that these dishes are not pointed at the sky, because if you look at them, where the arm is, it actually looks like it's pointed pretty close to ground level. It's because it's not. The receiver horn there is not at the focal point of the parabola. The cutout circle, like the one that Andy showed and this one, is not the center of the dish. It's actually closer to being one of the edges. So if you think about how one of those big parabolic dishes look, think of cutting a circle out up near the edge. This dish, for example, that you see in the picture now, is not pointing in the direction from the center of the dish to that arm. This dish is pointing, I would say, up at, if you look at the dish, about a 45-degree angle up from that. Common misconception that the receiving horn is at the center of the of like the center of where a parabolic dish would be. So anyway, yes, these should do the trick and should have good confinement. And I can't.
You know, now that you said, because I forgot you had a Jeep and you're talking about this, for some reason I'm picturing you as Christian Slater and Pump Up the Volume now.
Okay.
Oh my!
Oh, the pirate radio. You're gonna play some mad tunes, Si? That'd be great. Pump some awesome epic tunes to the ISS.
You know, I
should. They'll know it's you if you have a specific tune that you play every time. They'll be like, "That's Si Strike."
Oh, now actually that's another thing. Where when you're using the amateur bands that are the frequencies that are allocated to ham radio, transmitting of music will get you an FCC fine on the order of $10,000 and up.
Whoa!
Wow!
They're very simple rules that are easy to follow. It's so easy to follow. You have to go way out of your way and intentionally. Yeah, I mean, if you're doing let's like say you're doing some kind of public service event, because that's a big thing. That's one of the main reasons that the government allocates these frequencies is that public service is done, and a lot of it that if municipalities and towns had to pay for it would run into a lot of money. So if you're doing a public service event or something like that, and a marching band comes behind you, you're not going to get in trouble for that.
Oh, okay.
But if you try and be, hey, welcome to Sci Strike Radio, no, you get what's called a notice of apparent liability. Is that a nice way to say sell your house now?
Yeah, it is.
Anyway, all right. So yeah, Andy's got a dish rounded up. I got a dish rounded up. Mine already had. It had 3 LNBs on it originally. It's got 1 now. So we're good with that. Now, Andy, I sort of got the impression that instead of using the PDF file, like I said, it shows you something that works and will work reliably. Uses the signal strength meter that you get with the dish, and it picks off the voltage going to the meter with a little amplifier circuit to feed it into your sound card. As I understand it, you're thinking of doing this a little differently, involving a little SDR. Is that accurate?
I'm thinking about trying it out that way. I'm probably going to wind up doing a couple different variations, but yes, through HRO, the ham radio outlet, I've found the SDR play that they sell. So I'm going to be picking one of those up. I sent the link into the Hangouts earlier. You might be able to pull that page up on there. And
oh yeah, happy.
I mean, obviously it doesn't. It's not very cool to look at. It's a black box with 2 coax connectors, but it does show. I know Bo was asking about that last. Was that on movie night?
Might have been.
I think that was on movie night.
All right. Oh yeah, hold on. I got it right here. 1 second. And let's get this up there.
So yeah, that's the little guy. Nothing super fancy, but we'll see if taking the SDR route works a little bit. I don't know if I'll be able to have a little bit more control over how I actually wind up sending voltage spikes out to a sound card. We'll see. I'm not sure.
Well, see, the advantage of this with the SDR that you're talking about, that is actually because this thing has it. I believe that model has a USB out, and you can control it and use software the same as with. Have you seen the little what are they, SDR, RTL SDR thingies that it looks like a USB stick.
I think so.
Yeah, those unfortunately go to just under 2 gigahertz, which is just at the range where the atmosphere starts. Because that the LNB is a down converter. It cuts 9
Yeah.
to 12 gigahertz down to 950 to over 2 gigahertz. And with those little, because I was looking at those, that would be ideal, because for $16 you could get a radio telescope demodulator and take a straight digital signal out of it.
Yeah.
But I believe this is addressed the same way, and if so, that in one step you can do all the graphic stuff and show nice little oscilloscopy looking things for the incoming signal. But what you can do that's even better is sample the data at regular intervals, like at 1 minute, 1 minute intervals. Get a number, throw it in a text file, etc., and then plot them all with some kind of imaging software after to give you a line over time. So that would be a really great idea.
Indeed.
I was thinking of another way to cheat. Once again,
Man, what was that?
you see, nothing's good enough for us, is it, Andy? I mean, we could. and for anybody listening, the building it as Bo is not pleased with HRO. I had a little bit of an experience too. That's because my orders are never standard. It's always one off. But anyway. Building just the one, not just like it's a step down. Building what they describe in the PDF file. It's an old design, it's a tried design, and it's guaranteed to work. There's nothing that can go wrong with it, because what's being used as the detector is a meter that's designed to point the dish anyway, so you will be getting voltage levels. The only thing you're really doing is converting that to an audio tone so that your computer can fiddle with the signal and turn it into a visual graph for you. So there's nothing wrong with the one in the PDF. But Andy and I just like adding complications. Anyway,
and hence increasing the risk of melting yourselves.
There you go. No project.
Well, I've started the front lawn on fire, the back lawn on fire. I've let the smoke out of half the electronics I've probably ever purchased. I figure I might as well start the roof on fire now.
There you go. Good to have goals.
Indeed.
Anyway, I was taking another approach. Again, non-standard approach. A while back, I ordered this up for one project and one project only. That's all I needed it for, and it's sat on the shelf since then. Here it is. It is a USB oscilloscope. You plug it into a laptop. Or remember the one I told you I plugged into the laptop, and the thing is shielded well enough so it operated perfectly. Unfortunately, the laptop sitting next to the Tesla coil stopped accepting input. It was not pleased with the strong RF field. But anyway, I was able to make use of it for one or two little projects. That was kind of cool. And for the price, I think the thing was like under $100. And to get an oscilloscope that's I think it's only 20 goes up to 20 megahertz or so. Still, for that price, it's a pretty good thing. Anyway, I was considering going the signal meter route as described in that PDF file, but the output of that, instead of running it through the computer sound card, I was going to feed to this, because it also has provisions for creating a CSV file with, not it does, but you can use software or even write something in C or something like that to query the little device, and just like we were saying, every minute or so, get the voltage level, throw it into a CSV file, and then graph it later. And and then, once that looks like it's going to work, it's put the thing in position, keep recording for about 24 hours. 24 hours is up, go outside, move it by 1 degree, let another 24 hours pass, 1 degree up, another 24 hours pass. You see, my goal, I told you what my goal is. I want to make a complete spherical radio view from Earth to space.
Heck yeah! Why wouldn't you?
That's the eventual goal. And no.
That's a great goal.
That's only
actually setting the roof on fire.
Actually, this thing runs on USB power. I don't think there's enough current available to really cause.
They don't need no water. Just let it burn.
Anyway.
Oh man.
For science.
Indeed. And then.
So I think you got thunderstorms heading your way because we're rolling through here now.
Oh my! I love a good thunderstorm. Bob the Wonder Jeep really loves a good storm. Anyway, yeah, when normal, all through Hurricane Sandy, everybody else left town. I could see the ocean from my porch, and actually, during the storm, the ocean was almost on my front porch. But fortunately, in this town, when the town was founded, they insisted that everybody that wanted to build a house had to build a hill first, and then they could put a house on top of the hill. Nice. So the street was under, 4 to 5 feet of water, and everybody's front porch is a good, at least 3 or 4 feet above that. So you still felt like you were on an island, but at least, you avoided drowning. Anyway, so this is how I like how you're going to cheat. This is how I'm going to cheat.
Alrighty.
So we shall see how that goes. Alrighty. Let's see. Just trying to see if I had any other imagery. Oh yeah, I should have done this one earlier. Oh, where'd it go? There's there it is. There's the radio I was talking about earlier.
Huh.
So yeah, that's the rig that's being controlled by the software we were talking about. Okay.
Nice.
Oh, look at that. Is that unholy scope 20 megahertz or higher? It's only a 20 megahertz scope. So I'm primarily going to be using it as a recording voltmeter bow. That's why it's so cheap. I believe it's only up to 20 megahertz. So there we go.
Nice.
Let's see.
Oh, very awesome. I'm excited to get more parts in and keep working on this build. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Indeed. And we will document our builds and
oh, absolutely.
And post them for viewing.
Excellent.
What could be better?
Gives me something to do at work. I mean, I work hard on something.
Oh gosh.
Yes,
gosh.
Well, it's honestly, in most cases, goofing off is more work than working.
True it is.
Yeah, that is entirely true. Especially when I'm working on my stuff for my channel. It's like it's so much time.
Indeed.
Yeah, it happens.
You want me to try to get a post-it note on the cargo ship for next Sunday for you, Si? Put a post-it note on there for the ISS crew. Say, watch out for this guy.
Yes, you should.
Oh, geez, Mel, it's okay to do your announcement now, right? For everybody,
yes, for of course. I've been talking about it.
Do your announcement. Big, great news from Mel. And is your arm better, by the way?
Absolutely.
Mel, because I know I had to twist your arm for how many?
Oh God, yes. You're like, go sign up for this now, and so I did, and then they sent me an email back, and now I'm going to go to NASA. I'm actually driving out there on Friday. It's a long drive, but that's okay. But it's to Wallops, Virginia, to watch the cargo mission to the ISS. That'll be pretty cool. Get to take a look at the rocket, and we're going to have all day Saturday. There's going to be lots of talks as well as touring the facility. Going to get to see the rocket. I'm going to try to live stream at noon, right at lunchtime, after the first half on that Saturday. That's Eastern, noon Eastern.
And that's
That's this Saturday, right?
Yeah, that's this Saturday. I'm going to try to live stream. I'll try to live stream as much as I can. I'll be doing little behind the scenes stuff for my patrons on Patreon. But I will have as much live streaming as I can throughout the day. And then I'll have a formal live stream that Sunday after the launch.
Can't wait.
So that'll be cool.
Excellent.
That's very awesome.
I guarantee.
Yeah.
I guarantee. Listening to me pestering you to go try to get to one of these. I guarantee you're going to say this was worth it. The drive, everything. You were going to have an absolutely grand time. And when they say tour, some people listening might think, "Oh, a tour, great! They're going to point to things and we're walking." No, that's not how it is at all. You get
So it's not like a tour of the Hoover Dam.
You get to see the cool thing, and then you get to see the guy that built the cool thing, and then you get to see the project director that'll tell you all kinds of great things about it. And you get to actually have conversations with these people. It's not just like strolling through a museum. You get to see stuff that the press, the actual press, does not get to see.
I think we're all
That's
more
just so
excited
cool.
for this than Mel is.
And
No, it's like I am excited. It's just weird to me because I'm like, I couldn't go to space camp when I was little because it was too expensive. And so now I'm just like, I'm gonna go to a closed base, and check out some really cool stuff. Like inside, it hits me late. The excitement hits me late. So, when I get there, I might be squeeing up and down, and I'll have to do that somewhere in a corner to where I don't embarrass myself. and then I'll go, "Why, hello! Thank you so much. I'm really enjoying this thing," and I'll have to come up with words that I'll have to say without stumbling over them and looking foolish.
I'll bet you'll do fine. When the last launch that I got invited to there was the same thing. I filled out the thing like you did and got invited to. I found myself in a conversation with Kay Hire. Yes, that Kay Hire.
Wow.
Space Shuttle Kay Hire, International Space Station Kay Hire. Yes, that one. And all I could think of is, in your short life, you have accomplished so much. Why are you even talking to me?
Everybody.
Why are you wasting? But when you're there, the one thing that everybody at NASA you meet, the one thing they love to do is tell you everything about what they do. They enjoy it. And
that is what scientists do. They will talk about their work until they've run out of breath.
To do that. And did you drool on yourself when you met her, or no?
No, there was no drooling. Although she did ask, if I had any questions about, anything, I forget the actual phrasing, and I thought I responded very eloquently. It was probably the most eloquent I had ever issued. Again, because I'm thinking, it's only me.
I have to do better than the time that I met Will Wheaton. That's when I fangirled. I was really, 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 really young, and Next Generation was out. He went on a mall tour, and I was crushing on him. I was the West Crusher. And so I watched the show, but I wasn't like heavy into, how do they do this and this here? I didn't know the schematics of the Enterprise. I just liked the show. And so they would ask questions, and you were only supposed to be allowed to ask a question. I got to ask a couple. And so I would ask him, "So who's your favorite band?" And like, "What's your favorite color?" And other people are like,
Wait a minute.
"Well, in the episode of such and such and such and such, Captain Picard said this and this and this." And I'm just like, "Do you have any pets?" It's just like nothing to do with the show.
Mel, you might want to think about your questions this time, or not.
Did he pass the test though, Mel? When you asked him, "What is your favorite color?" Did he just say red right out, or did he say blue? Oh, red! Ah!
I don't remember. I know his band that he liked was Oingo Boingo. That was one of his favorite bands. It was, and then when I met him, and he signed a picture and stuff, and he was like, "So what's your name?" And I went, Huh.
I had a name coming in.
My brother was with me. He goes, it's Melody. Her name is Melody. He goes, that's a nice name. I went, yeah.
Wait a minute. You only told him your last name? You just said Mel? Why didn't you tell him your first name? Scientist.
I wasn't a scientist yet. I was a baby scientist, a really, really, really young baby scientist.
They had to be what?
I gotta do better than that.
Mel, they had to be what, like early 90s?
I think so. Yeah, late 80s, early 90s. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of even how old I was then.
Yeah, I was a kid.
Oh. Well, I started high school in '89, so yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I swore after that because I was so horrified that I got so starstruck that I would never get starstruck again, and I haven't. So I've actually done well. So even though it looks like I'm not super excited right now, I've just learned to maintain a bit.
Okay.
Maintain a bit. Yeah.
Well, that would be good because you've got some good stuff. You've got some good stuff coming this weekend, and I'm looking forward to both seeing your live stream and hearing. Well, because there'll be information that I think you'll be sharing for quite a while after, and looking forward to that.
I'm so excited, but I'm gonna have to wait till next week to see any of it because we're going up north Wednesday and we won't be back till Sunday, and I get no signal. I fail.
Oh.
Yeah.
Good.
Stupid rock porn meeting.
All right. So,
and you guys are going to be on my Spirited Science show, not this coming Thursday, but 2 weeks from then.
Indeed, I'm very excited about that.
Absolutely, yeah. That's going to be a blast.
Tesla. We're going to talk about Tesla.
Be a shockingly good time.
Oh my!
Absolutely.
Oh my!
I have to come up with the beverage. I've been working with a couple bartenders, so we're putting our brains together to come up with an actual Tesla cocktail. Because I got my Darwin down, I got my Catherine Johnson. Got to get my Tesla.
You got to figure a way to run electricity through it somehow.
Well, it's and it should be something relatively new. Not like just an old drink rebranded. Because if we're doing Tesla, we should stay current.
But all right.
AC.
All right. And yeah. Does that resonate with you, Mel?
I think so.
All right. Anyway.
Good stuff.
Ooh, whoops! Sorry, not movie night. We don't have a pun section on this. All of them weren't actually puns anyway. But anyway, all right. With 8 minutes left, back to you, Andy. Entertain us.
Oh,
See, look down. You see what that is? That's the spot. you are on the spot.
I don't actually have a whole lot left, and my cough medicine is, I fear, starting to wear off. Excuse me.
Okay, so you're saying
Don't die, Andy.
Okay, sorry, I had to mute myself there for a second.
You're only building a radio telescope, and that's all you have. Oh, is that all? Okay.
Oh, building a radio telescope, already built a couple of optical telescopes, built the Tesla coil, blew up the transformer, rebuilt the Tesla coil. I don't know, maybe it's about time that I've been actually thinking about trying to figure out a way of getting some bowling balls inside of my ceiling so that I could make a chandelier out of my... and of course, now all of a sudden my brain's going to go all... You have a cold, though you can't remember anything.
I'm that way normally.
My
Cavendish mechanism. I want to turn it into a chandelier somehow.
Yes, the experiment that's never been reproduced, except 3 times by somebody we know. And
yeah, I've only built the Cavendish mechanism 3 times in my basement now to get at those non-believers, but
now we all know that's just CGI or whatever it is this week. Who knows?
well, it'll be so much better when it's in my ceiling and it has like a stained glass lighting effect going on, and it'll be like the world's slowest disco ball.
Music. Yes, and will you have the music?
Absolutely.
All right, Bo. I know how to operate ICOM radios. I just don't. I got mad at them back when they had that little problem with the LCD screens failing intermittently. So I stayed away from them. I'm sure they're all back and perfect now. And here's a suggestion. The drink should be the Flaming Mo ignited by a Tesla coil. All right.
Oh man,
that's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea.
I could give a quick update on what I plan if anyone cares. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
Go for it.
Well, like I said, this week is the Institute of Lake Superior Geology's annual meeting, so I will be, head deep in rocks, and there will be videos of it and stuff like that. I plan on interviewing some rock stars. See, I can do it too. Bad puns.
Gotcha.
And hopefully get some good, field geology stuff in. But that's it. That's pretty much it.
Oh, Stephen, I know actually one of my patrons, Circe, she's a geologist. So I'm kind of getting a panel together for when we talk about geology for my Spirited Science show. So
sweet. It better be.
I'm gonna see if Circe can hop on. Huh?
It better be Precambrian geology. Oh, and by the way, Tremor 6 was awesome.
Tremor 6.
I'll keep that in mind.
I wonder if
there's a new Tremors movie. Yeah.
Easy Myers want to hop on a Precambrian. He might know a bit about that. That would be kind of cool.
I study mostly the Precambrian sedimentary rocks. Those are like my thing. So
cool.
Yeah, no stupid fossils in there to mess them up. Stupid roadkill. My rocks.
Stupid freaking dinosaurs.
Killing your rocks. I love
trilobites. Oh.
Pretty much. Stromatolites is all I get to look at.
None of that ammonite crap. We don't like that. Forget
garbage.
it.
Those things are evil, I tell you.
Oh, man.
That'll be cool. I'm looking forward to that. I need to touch base with Circe and see if she's down. I haven't asked her yet, but I think she probably would.
I'm down. If I'm around, I'm definitely down. Memorial Day weekend, we won't be around either, though. So next 2 weekends. That's right. Yeah, next 2 weekends because we're preparing to do a hike at Glacier National Park in July, and our fat old butts need to get in shape. So we're going to go to the UP and do kind of a smaller hike in Porcupine Mountains on Memorial Day weekend. So
wow,
nice.
That sounds cool.
No dying, Andy.
There's no dying on Sai's show. That's not allowed.
No.
Exactly.
Unless there's video and flames. and electricity.
That'll go viral, especially if it's a Tesla coil involved.
Indeed.
Yeah, well.
Alrighty. Okay.
Oh.
Wow, that's funny. So you mentioned pump up the volume earlier. Little known fact about me, I used to DJ.
Ooh. Did not know this.
Freelance DJ. So yeah, that was pretty fun.
It looks like a fun. See, it's not something I'd ever do because now you're talking about the DJ like at events and that kind of thing, or do you mean
at
radio?
Events? Yes.
Okay, see that I would avoid being a DJ because I found that those events get too people-y.
Oh gosh, the things that I hated the most were weddings. I hated DJing.
Oh, you did weddings? Oh no, I'm sorry.
I've done weddings, frat parties, school dances. Frat parties are interesting. They are very interesting. I used to play a 70s night for a local frat party, and every time they had their annual 70s night, they'd call me in. And at the time, I was spinning CDs, And so I would actually mix on site, and I had turntables. There was no digital music. I brought in my own music, big freaking cases of it, set it up. And so these people were dressed in like the 70s gear, and they put me on a floor that was pretty much rotted out wood. Okay.
That's
It
every
was the second floor. It was the second floor. They had me on like the concrete, concrete portion of the fireplace. And they're like, well, we'll put you here. And I'm like, that's not going to help with the skipping. Play some P-Funk Atomic Dog. These people with the giant platform start stomping. It jumps my CD back like 4 songs. I'm like, okay, I restart. They start doing it again. I finally had to stop and say, you guys are going to have to stomp on the outside because this is not going to work. I understand it's Atomic Dog, but you can't be doing that in here. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was one frat party. I have DJ stories if ever we are so inclined.
Nice.
Alrighty.
I wish I had good stories like that.
P-Funk, Atomic Dog. Skip a CD back 4 songs.
Well, nice job with the filler, folks. It's exactly 8 o'clock.
Excellent.
Look at that.
Well done. Look at that. You can always count on us to come up with filler when needed. And God damn it, you guys all have to come up with interesting filler. What's that all about?
Sorry, it won't happen again.
Filler's supposed to be just babble, not interesting stuff. Anyway.
Well, interesting stuff happens when you chit-chat about science and
Indeed.
what have you.
DJing and Will Wheaton.
Agreed.
Why do you think, Andy, why do you think I try to get groups like you guys all together in one place?
Well, you have succeeded.
I always learn stuff, and that's something I really enjoy. That's how I know I'm not done learning. I'm not dead yet. That's about the only time you should plan. As long as you're breathing, you should plan on learning. And,
Exactly.
Yes. And you all help.
Even if you're in
that.
coma. I don't know how that
Absolutely.
would work, but same.
You might be in a dreamland, and you could probably read books while you're in your coma, but coma you is reading books.
Ooh, the coma you reading the books from your memory.
Yes.
Sounds like a great sci-fi novel. Get on that, Mel.
Yeah.
All right.
I will add that to my list of 9 million things I got to do.
All right. Now, so
Excellent.
on that same topic, how many of you still own T-shirts that say "Maybe only I exist"? Because now we all have to
Girlfriend
wonder.
might have one of those.
Now we all have to wonder if we are in fact in a coma and are imagining all of you others. Anyway,
Damn it.
All right.
Thanks, Si.
We'll sit here and listen to sciencey stuff, not your deep philosophical stuffs and stuff, or I don't know.
all
I
right,
just
so-
wanted to take some more
how many-
cough syrup and go and have a smoke.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we've reached our usual allotted hour, and because we started about a minute and a half late, and we're ending about a minute and a half late. And if I've got nothing further, sir. Anybody else?
Nope, I'm good.
I have nothing more for today.
Alrighty. Well,
Should have a decent amount next week once a little bit more of the build gets underway on the new project, and I will have my new capacitors in, so I may need to reform the primary from the flat coil to an inverted coil, so we'll see how that works out.
you know what I found works great? A sand bucket. Get a kid's sand bucket. It makes a great primary form.
Nice.
Anyway,
It's actually not a bad idea.
there we go. Alrighty. Anybody else?
Okay.
Anything further?
Nope.
Oh.
Nope.
Alrighty. Well, thank you all for having cool and interesting stuff to talk about, and thanks everybody who joined us.
Thanks for having us.
And we'll
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for
having us. It was fun.
always glad to have you guys on the show with us.
we'll be no doubt
here.
communicating soon.
Absolutely.
On that note, good night, all. Have a nice week.
Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Keep sciencing. Sciencing.